Go right. So welcome everybody. Good morning. I'm fresh back from Spain, so I'm reinvigorated, rejuvenated, ready to rock for this. This is the first time we've ever run an Ask Me Anything session on LinkedIn for Breakfast, and I do it all the time with my client group, and it's exciting. We go down rabbit holes. We allow the group to also give their opinions and thoughts, and we round table it, so it's not just me anything but other ideas coming from the group, and we just want to use this as a place to be able to get those thoughts out. Anything that you've kind of come to our sessions before and gone, oh, I wish that we could have covered that, or I've got this question, or maybe it's not so LinkedIn-y, but I've got a question about X, Y, and Z. I'm more than happy to roll up my sleeves, dive deep into techie stuff, or go hit big picture strategy pieces with you guys today. 45 minutes of marketing madness. So, how we run these sessions is anybody who's got a question, just to make it nice and interactive, I'd love you to use the reaction button, which is the heart at the bottom. If you click on it, you can then raise your hand like this, right? So what we do is we want to line up the questions at the top, so people with their questions with their hands up. And so if you've got a question, perfect, as my glamorous assistant Peter has just demonstrated there, and glamorous he is as well. So so you line up like this. So what we'll do is we'll answer Peter's question. If people want to then contribute to that subject, please just jump in or wave your hand and try and contribute to that comment. Obviously, there's 3 pages of you, so I won't necessarily be able to see everybody, but please do jump in. And then when we want to change subject, we'll then go to the next person, Lisa, with their hand up. So that's how we're going to work it. Let's hope it all works out. So Peter, over to you, my friend. What's your question?
I thought it would just be helpful to get your opinion. I mean, a friend of mine in particular uses LinkedIn, he posts regularly. It's not really working for him. And I sort of see this lovely things that he puts up and all the rest of it. But I think it's a more general thing as a question. How could we give people more confidence, if you like, that maybe with your help, and I'm not just trying to pitch for you here, but with your help, how can people be more effective in actually getting responses and getting people to make inquiries if they're using LinkedIn to advertise themselves?
Fantastic. So really just to kind of getting the leads actually happening from LinkedIn. Well, look, there's a few things that you've got to think about when you're doing any sort of content, is actually who are you writing it for and who is your profile set up for? So if we know the actual target audience, Peter, who is the target audience that this person is going for?
I would say it would be businesses which are turning over, let's say, roughly a million, yeah, 500,000 to 1 million, I would say. Yeah, he's more a business kind of coach. That's really his kind of his business at the end of the day.
Fantastic. Okay, I love it. So look, let's just jump onto the Blackboard of Truth and Justice. And most of the time I have to doodle on this because if I don't, then I have no idea what I'm talking about. So it's like leaving breadcrumbs for my consciousness. So what we what we want to do is we've got to think about that target audience. And if we know our target audience, then we can set up a number of things. We need to set up our profile so it's totally targeted at that target audience. And we need some call to actions on that profile. What do we mean by call to actions? Well, are you linking to, say, a newsletter sign up, right? So if you've got a newsletter sign up, then that's a really nice way of someone being able to do a soft convert because they can just go say 1 click, yes, I want to then sign up for your newsletter. So I can stumble into your list because many of us, if you look on your LinkedIn profile, will see that Bob Smith has viewed your profile and Dave has viewed it and Tina's viewed your profile, right? But actually, that's just some data, but wouldn't it be good if we had a newsletter sign up and then lots of people were starting to join that newsletter? Now we've got some warm leads. Good. And so our profile can do that if we've got it set up talking the right language to the right people. The other thing is that when we then start to post to our audience, we got to think about, well, what type of post are we putting out? So if we're putting out posts about topic A to business leaders of kind of oh, hello, that's a five, believe it or not, 500K to 1 mil. If we're putting out posts to those people, then we are we are hoping to attract them with our content. But if our audience looks like this and only 10% of them are business leaders who are within that price bracket, then our posts are only going to be seen by 10% of our audience. But here's the big thing. When you post, your post is not going to go out to 100% of the people that are connected with you. LinkedIn will kind of test you maybe with like 5 to 10% reach on your current first degree connections, right? So actually, of your 5 to 10% of your entire audience, only 10% of that 5 to 10%, so like 0.05 is actually going to be your target audience. And so I talk about this quite a lot, that we need to make sure that our audience, our first degree connections, actually look like the people we want to target. Because if your posts are not getting reach, are not getting engagement, when you do your analysis on it, you will see how many impressions your posts are getting, and therefore you'll see how many comments and likes you're getting. And if you're not getting masses, that's because when LinkedIn first rewards you with some reach, every new post gets some reach, and the volume of that reach will actually be dictated on how well your content overall seems to do. And it will go up if you're doing well, and you'll get rewarded with more reach for a new post. But once it serves that reach to your audience, if only like a fraction of the people within this 5 to 10% that it shows it to actually are correct for the specific post you're putting out, then you're just going to be getting maybe the odd like, the odd comment. And I know many of us have probably got one like or one comment on a post that you spent hours on. You're like, oh, for God's sakes. And so this piece usually is the problem, is that you're connected with the wrong audience. You're putting content out that is not relative or representative of your actual audience. So I do a few things. First of all, I would be going on to, oh, hello, that's us. I'd be going on to your connections, and I'd be saying to him, what I presume it's a him, Peter. I'm just going to say it is. I've got a nod, good stuff. And you've got your connections in here, so we can actually see and go through connections and just go, right, actually, let's do a very quick audit, scan them, and go, how many of these people are actually any good? And I hope my internet works through. So you start to look at this and go, actually, does this represent who I'm creating content for? And you can do a very quick scan. Or probably better is if they do a search, just a basic search for, I don't know, coach plus UK, maybe. So say they're targeting UK coaches, right? So do a search on LinkedIn there. You probably don't even need to put UK in, actually. Let's just go for business coach, because that's what you were saying. Business plus coach, right? Or if you wanted to go specific, really exact, you could go use these little hyphens there, and it'll do an exact match for business coach. Now, I would probably not do that, because you might have slightly different variations of it. So I'd probably use the plus in there because it makes it a bit broader, right? So business plus coach. So I'm searching for this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on people. And you can go far more detailed in this in Sales Navigator, which I'll show you. And then I'm going to go first degree connections. And then it's going to show me how many of these people are my first degree connections. And if I wanted to only work with people in the United Kingdom and Ireland, then I'm going to show results, and it's going to now show me all my first degree connections that are business coaches in Ireland. So now this becomes the audience that is that 10%, 20%. And this is the job that is on the hands, which is to go, well, actually, I need to make this a bigger percentage of my overall bubble. So I need to disconnect with people that are not target audience, which many of us have, the kind of people that are our old colleagues in previous jobs, or recruiters that we'd worked with in the past, or God knows what, mates from university or whatever. You want to kind of disconnect, not every, you want to kind of still keep some nice connections, but anybody that's kind of on the fringes, just get rid of them and just try and get your bubble to be the most specific as possible. And so this is then your audit. This then becomes the type of people you're connecting with. And then the other thing that you can do then is start to actually do this search. Instead of doing first degree, you want to go second, and you can then remove the first degree. And so now we want to look at second degrees. And so these are all the people that are connected to your connections who are business coaches. And so this then becomes the job. So there's 18,000 of these that are potential target audience, in this example I'm giving you here. So now this becomes my connection strategy. And LinkedIn will allow you to do 100 connections a week. So you just get this in and just start rolling through this. And you just work your 20 connections. And then you get to the end of 20 connections. You then make a note of who you finished with. You go back to the same search tomorrow, and then you do another 20 connections. Alternatively, you use an automation tool to go and do all of that for you, or a VA to go and do all that for you. But ultimately, it gives you a really nice list and project to start working on. So that will give you a little bit more of the right audience and the right people who will be reading the right type of content. And then there's a few other little things that you can try and do. So I don't know if anybody's seen this when you're talking about posts that go viral and get more engagement. Well, it's going to be things like, I'm just trying to find the unshare now. Where's that gone? Here we go. Stop sharing. Like a selfie is literally one of the best hacks that you can have to get engagement. I know it just sounds really like, kind of classic, boring advice, but take a picture of yourself. Don't make it too good and write a post about, something that came into your mind, right? Or make a picture of yourself with a cross face and talk about how the budget is very anti-entrepreneurship. Yeah, and do that post this afternoon, right? Or you might like the budget. Doesn't matter. You may do a happy face and say, actually, this is a great budget. It doesn't matter. Both of those posts will do excellently. And because it's also time specific, i.e. it's an important thing. It's the UK budget, if anybody hasn't quite put those two things together. And it's an important budget because it's the first big one by Labour. Then you can make that post, Or if you want to just make a post about, how women have been completely underrepresented as the Chancellor of the Exchequer. The fact it's the first Chancellor in nearly 800 years of having the post of Chancellor that a woman has had the post. That's another great avenue to go down with a post. And again, that will do really well. So you can see how you just need to use, if you're a female business leadership coach, that's a great avenue to do. And because it's the current thing that you're pulling on, it's a trending item, and it's a picture of you as a selfie. Maybe it's a picture of you as a selfie next to, and you can just do the two pictures next to each other. You don't have to actually stand next to the person, but next to the Chancellor and you, and do a post. I can't believe it's the first one in 800 years. It will do great. And then you can make a call to action around, how you'd love to talk to people about how they can also stand up and be counted as a female leader, in the UK or whatever it is, right? Do you see how you can just use these trending comments to be able to make stuff happen? So when you think about, well, where would I find the trending stuff? Well, that's obviously an easy one because it's in the news today. There's a UK budget. But if you click on LinkedIn here and you go to your homepage, look, what's on the right-hand side? Top stories. So if you see this stuff and look, show more, this is what's happening at the moment, right? This is the top stories that's going on. And I can tell you this afternoon, you're going to see a budget thing happening on here. But, there's loads of stuff that you could get involved in. Something might catch your interest and then you can talk about this. So you can use that as a bit of a guide for what actually is being talked about on LinkedIn. So there's some ideas there for you, Peter. Has that helped?
Yeah, it has. I think it sort of helps everybody, really. It's a very sort of general question, but I think it's something that we're all interested in. How do we get more engagement using LinkedIn? And of course, your approach, as always, very professional and very thorough. So thank you for that. Out of interest, do you have a sort of thing that I could send to him to see if he wants to engage with you and come and see what you do? Because that might be helpful.
Well, we do a LinkedIn profile audit is probably the best thing to share. So we could do an audit on his profile to see where the gaps are and what our suggestions are. So if you're interested in getting one of those, they're free. So thank you, Peter, teared up. Or if you wanted to just do a quick kind of email Richard meet person X and vice versa, I'm happy to do that. But let me just put this into the chat for you. And anybody is welcome to do this. This is a free complimentary audit of your LinkedIn profile. There's a number of people that have had this in the room, so hopefully they'll agree that this is of value. This, I hope, will give you some insights and practical application. That's great. There's a few people saying they got their they've had an audit there. It was good. So thank you. So it's in there. So we'll be able to give you a time slot totally for free, and they can see how we can improve your profile. Or well, not we, but you can improve your profile through it. Cool.
Yeah, that's great. I'll pass it on to him and invite him to connect with you to see what he can do. I mean,
Yeah, and
something.
invite them to the group as well. Come to LinkedIn for Breakfast. There's nothing to sell here, so just come on in. Come
Yeah,
come see what we do here.
yeah.
Um,
Thank
Love
you.
it. Good stuff, Peter. Thank you. Hope that helps. Okay, Lisa, over to you. Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you. That was great. And whilst you say there's nothing to sell here, we're all buying, that's for sure. My question is linked to, I've now got myself a business page and my personal page. What is the right approach about where do I post? Where should I post? Where shouldn't I post? What type of content goes on the business page versus the personal page? And layering on top of that, should I get a premium for my business page? I've got it already for my personal, but do I need both?
Okay. So there's definitely there's a very easy answer to that is focus 99% of your time on your personal profile. The reason why is that your personal profile has so many more levers that you can pull that will help. So, for example, you can connect with people as a page. So you can proactively reach out to someone to connect. You can then start a direct messaging conversation. Now, people can follow your page, but they have to find the page, click on it, and make a decision to follow it. I can't proactively. I am able to request for people to follow my page. So there's a 250 request limit per month that a page has. So a page can reach out to 250 people in a month and say, hey, would you like my page? Right? And if they say yes, then you can actually then message them as the page, I believe. But it's just so limited. And actually, most people, when you go, could you like to connect with me? It's a far warmer thing than someone going, like my page, because, well, who are you? Right. So that will help, and you'll grow a significant bigger audience through focusing on your personal profile. We see when people use create events, they get far more people coming to an event if they create the event as their personal profile, not their company page. We see when you create a newsletter, when you create a new newsletter, it will go out to all of your connections, or if you're a page, go out to all of your likes in the first initial push. So it gets a giddy up right at the start. And that's great if you've got lots of connections, but people who put it on their pages find it just goes out to their followers. They may have only had like 100 followers, and like 20 of them then subscribe to the newsletter. So your big kind of newsletter ambition starts with 20 subscribers versus when people go push out their newsletter. Just here, just as a very quick poll, if you've created a new newsletter on your personal profile and it launched, just type into the chat how many people you got in the first week from that initial push. Just anybody just has some very ballpark numbers. If anybody's done that, great. So there you go. So Tony 1,500, Nick 49. Okay, so that's interesting. Leslie 2,000. I've got 500 plus going on there. So there's a significant push when you put it on your personal profile. I'd like to just know, Leslie and Tony, were they on your personal profiles or were they on your pages? Just to give us a flavor for it. Yes,
personal profile.
Personal profile, perfect. Yes, great stuff. So it just gives you that leg up, and just think about it, right? So Leslie's got 1,002 people on that newsletter. Those are 1,002, or is that more than that? Yeah, 1,002 people who are leads now. That's people who have actually said, hey, I'd like to subscribe to your newsletter. That's 1,002 people to go and DM and reach back to and actually have a conversation because they made the first move and said, yes, I'm interested in your content. So it's significant kind of what we'd call marketing signals that are of benefit. And the final thing I'd say on company page versus personal profile is people buy people, right? Unless you're Red Bull and you're really cool and you're investing loads of money in your brand, people will want to buy Lisa. They are not so worried about XYZ Consulting because it's just another kind of faceless logo, but we buy into you. Now, as you grow, great. You know, we want KPMG to go and do our consulting piece because it comes with the brand and that helps us to be able to do, you know, enter into the big boys league, you know. But most of the time when we're talking in our market, people on here, it's going to be around those personal profiles and personal experience. And so that's what I'd say. Now, in terms of premium, the final part of your question, I don't think you have to pay for a second account for premium. I think if you've got premium, you have access to all the premium tools. Please tell me if I'm wrong in the chat, anybody here.
It's coming up as when I go onto my business page, do you want to try premium for free? And it's an additional 59, but I can go in the background and check what's going on.
Have you already got premium though on your personal profile?
Yeah.
That's strange. If anybody knows anything different,
premium works for me.
Yeah, premium works for me on my personal page.
It works for me on my personal page, but it implies that on my business page I need to do something. But I'll have a look in the background and see whether or not maybe something's happened.
I'm not sure. I think if you've personally got premium, then your use of LinkedIn will be premium, and so therefore your company pages that you look after will be premium. There may be additional kind of things that it may be trying to sell you Sales Navigator or something along those lines, but no, that's interesting. But my response would be, I think you probably already have it, so you don't need to pay for it again. I don't think there's any benefit of a premium version. There used to be some really funky stuff you could do with pages, but they took all that away.
So very helpful, thank you, and thank you for all of your numbers, Tony. Your numbers are amazing.
Yeah, Tony's doing fantastic, and Leslie as well. Great. Dawn, over to you.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Thought I'd stick to English. So I get a lot of DMs going, "Oh my God, your post today was really challenging," or I get a lot of impressions, and very few engagements because the stuff that I write challenges people. It makes them think. And people are worried about, sorry, I've just had to confirm your speaking language come up on, like, which one do you want? And because my stuff is quite challenging, and it does make people think, people are afraid to engage because they don't want to lose clients. They don't want to be seen to be engaging with it or agreeing with what I write. And the thing is, when I'm trying to attract the people who are going to write a book that is going to challenge the status quo, and that is going to challenge the government agendas or the mainstream media narratives, I have to be the one to show that it's okay to do that. But so what would your advice be? Because we all know that a lot of people don't like to think. We all know that, you know, people don't like to be challenged a lot of the time because we've got a lot of stuff going on in our life. And, you know, going onto social media, they just want to scroll. Some people want to scroll through their media like they scroll through life. And it's that, how do I get that balance to actually find those people?
I think what you're doing is you're creating awareness, and that's great. So you're getting reach, you're getting views. One of the big things that you've got to think about, guys, is that if you are not getting readers, so this is when you start to think about impressions, and that is the reach of your post, right? So how many times your post has been shared with people is impressions. Now, if someone's just reading it, it has linger time. So the doom scrolling we all love to do, on all social media platforms, when the finger kind of hovers and pauses and you can see that the user is actually reading the content or someone's staying on a piece of post, that's what we call, there's a linger there, right? So a linger time is actually part of the algorithm within LinkedIn. And so if people are lingering on your post, that will then reward that post with extra impressions. So even if you're not getting engagement, but you are getting big reach, that is showing you are getting big readership, and so that is really positive. So awareness is working really well, and I use this kind of synopsis just to show people the hoppers, right? So I think one of the important things whenever you're trying to do this is think about the hoppers. So we got to get people from awareness to move to consideration, to convert, to deliver to them, right? So that awareness piece is kind of connecting with people, as we just talked about in the first question. And then we've got to move them into that consideration when they're actually spending time consuming your content. But when we think about posts, so posts can be, I'm spending time when I hear what you're saying, and I'm aware of you, right? Posts can actually sit more in awareness than they do in consideration, because although people will read it, I'm reading you and I kind of like the cut of your jib, and that's great, right? But actually, do
It
I?
looked beautiful out sailing on Sunday, that jib, honestly. Oh.
But do I consider you as someone that can help me with this pain? Do I consider you as a solution to what we're talking about, right? So this consideration piece is I'm spending time with you, but am I really kind of thinking about what you sell? Because if you're creating awareness and it's kind of big picture, like big kind of attention grabbing stuff. So for example, I've got a post that I'm going to be lining up after the budget, as I mentioned, which I'm going to do this afternoon, right? But a lot of that's me just sort of talking about entrepreneurship. It's not actually going to be talking about how I can help people to generate, lots of leads on LinkedIn and do all this marketing stuff for people. It's just going to be me talking about, how the UK is becoming a little bit difficult from entrepreneurship perspective, right? I suspect, depends on what they say in the budget, right? So that's me awareness. Although it might get loads of impression, might do quite well, it's awareness of just me and entrepreneurial stuff. I've got to then do a call to action, which is where you'll probably need to think about your content, call to action to something that is consideration, where I spend time actually with you. And that's great if it's a podcast, an event, something similar like this. Could be also your newsletter or a long form post, but that content needs to be more around writing books, becoming a best-selling author, actually getting your words on paper, getting published. These things are the stuff that you sell.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but okay.
Well, how do you make money?
How do I make money?
Yeah.
Well, I coach people and I publish them. But this best-selling author, the thing that we're seeing now is that everyone wants to be a best-selling author, and it actually doesn't mean anything anymore. Because you can put a book in a category for 99 pence for 24 hours in the most obscure category and get a best-selling book and then never make a penny.
What you're saying now, Dawn, is exactly the right, but now that is consideration content. So here, the awareness kind of, getting people's attention. Now you're talking consideration, right? That content around best selling is actually BS. BS is BS, right? Whatever it is, right?
BS.
There you go. So you've got now a piece of content that's perfect for consideration. And then, of course, the call to action is, hey, if you want me to actually do an audit of your book idea, then write a book idea audit, right? And come and do my BIA. And that would be the actual call to action. So now I move from consideration, where I go, oh, okay, well, actually, you're right. This whole best-selling thing does seem to be a load of BS. I'm going to go book a book writing audit with Dawn. You're going to do the audit with me, and then from there, you can then show me and open the door to actually, do you want me to go and be your publisher and be your coach in there? And then that's delivery, right? So awareness, you're probably doing loads of awareness. Consider you're not doing enough consideration. And then that's therefore not getting the meetings for the right meetings with the right people for convert, and then the right delivery. And so by having these things in these hoppers, we all need to have these. And so we've got to transition our clients, constantly transitioning them from one stage to another.
Okay.
Does that help?
So call out more BS.
Call out more BS, but
it's my specialty.
But also call people from awareness to go to this. So if you create a really nice cornerstone piece of content around this, don't just post it once, add it to your profile. So what we can be doing is get onto your profile, get it as a featured post.
Yeah.
So these featured posts on here, pin it, and then you could almost have it as a call to action in your headline, right? So your header banner could be around, hey, read why bestsellers bullshit in my featured posts, right? and then people will scroll down, and then you'll have a big post in here going best selling is bullshit, and then bam, you're pushing people towards that post itself and has a call to action to go do your content. Yeah. So you're remember we talked about last Wednesday. This is a landing page. This profile is your landing page. We all spent so much time trying to create landing pages on websites. This is your best landing page. And so if you can then make it more of a converter with things like the newsletter or content cornerstone pieces of article that will then back up your consideration, this is the page we want to drive people to. So that will help. Cool.
Shukran, Owie. Thank you very much.
No worries. Good stuff. I have no idea what you just said at the end then, but I'm going to go with it. Nick, over to you.
Shukran Aries. Thank you very much in Arabic.
Okay, good stuff. All right. Nick, over to you, mate. Oh, you're muted, buddy. Just as Nick gets unmuted there, guys, I mentioned it a couple of times. If people do want to have a LinkedIn profile audit, want us to go over that special landing page concept about getting your profile more like a lead generator and looking at some of this content, I'm going to jump this into the chat now, gang. There's the link in there. Thank you for the guys who have already booked in to get that this morning. There's only a certain amount of these sessions that we actually can give out each week. They normally get completely booked up. So it's in the chat now. Click on there. It's totally for free, and get your LinkedIn profile audited. Awesome. Nick, over to you, mate.
Yeah, sorry about the muting. I was initially going to ask the question, how do you know how far your posts and your content have gone, depth and breadth? But I think what you've just described and what I've seen in the chat, it probably answers that. So I wanted to go on to newsletter. I have 2,500 getting on for connections, and around 500 of those have subscribed to my newsletter. I do ping them because you can see who's subscribed, so I try and interact with them as well. Is there anything else I and others should be doing if you have a subscription following?
So what I love about the LinkedIn newsletter, and just to kind of bring this to life for people, based upon Nick's question here, is if you go on to LinkedIn newsletter, you can pin it up here. It's a one-click subscribe. That's why I really like it being in the featured. You then click on it, and it will then take you into here. Now I can click, only I can see my subscribers, and look, here they are. And the beauty is these subscribers are the subscribers that are the first, the latest ones. The people who've just subscribed are here. So we can then send connection requests, and we can then start messaging conversations with them. So that's the beauty of it. And the reason why that's good is that they, as I say, they made the first move. They subscribed. So it would be crazy for me not to connect with them and message if they're target audience, right? If I go down to here and this person, I'm not quite sure who he is because he hasn't even put a link in here. I'm not sure if that's the right person. Or Sunny here, who's a financial controller, probably isn't the right target audience for me. So I won't accept the connection, even though they have subscribed to my newsletter and have asked. So please do remember that I am not connected, or haven't tried to be connected with these 2,200 people. I purposely have selected my audience from that because of that, what we said on the first time. So once they are connected, yes, I'm doing a DM to say, hey, thank you. And the message that I'm saying is purely, hey, thanks for subscribing to my newsletter. How are things in this crazy world, right? It's the same thing I say to everybody, gets people talking. I'm not saying, hey, thanks for subscribing to my newsletter. Which one did you like the most? Or, would you like to buy my stuff? Because that's not what it's about. It's like, hey, thanks, how are things, right? I want to get them talking. That's the most important piece. Once they're talking, then you can then progress that through to your call. If you feel like it's warm enough, you can put them straight into your sales call, or you might want to pull them back into a podcast or event, or show them, maybe the top 3 articles that they might have missed, previous newsletters that are really cornerstone content that they might have missed. That could be very good in terms of sending them across. So I would do that. Just remember that although they've subscribed to your article, when we think about these hoppers, so they're aware of you and they subscribe to your newsletter, so they're kind of going into consideration. But just by subscribing to your newsletter doesn't mean that I've actually read any decent content from you. I've just kind of converted, ready to absorb. So what you might do is send a message to them and just fast track them, right? To say, I'd be doing something like, hey, thanks for signing up to my newsletter. Here's my top 3 pieces of content. And then if you wanted me to be able to do X, Y, and Z, then you can book in a special, I like people who brand their sales meeting, by the way. And I don't mean brand it just for the sake of branding it. I mean, you go from consideration where you're giving value to people, offer them some more value, right, in Convert, but do it in one-to-one, right? Offer them something of significant value. So I know some people who do like a team leadership dynamics audit, as a one-to-one thing that they give for free. Some people do free coaching sessions, right? As a, experimental free coaching session. Some people do, I like the idea of like a one-to-one workshop, something like that, or an audit, or something that is of value, because you go from giving value to one to many here, and then you give value one-to-one, and then they then can make the decision if they want to continue on the value train with you, which is then your premium. And that's how we can kind of roll those through, right? And then you're just looking at numbers. And this is the big thing that you need to really think about. And this is what I'd say for everybody should be thinking about something along these lines. What gets measured gets improved. John Wanamaker said that. John Wanamaker is an absolute hero. No, that's not. No, Drucker said that. Sorry, Wanamaker said half the money I make for marketing works. I'm not sure which half works. So I love Wanamaker. Drucker, who was a management consultant at the turn of the century, he talked about what gets measured gets managed was his quote. But so I quite like the idea of what gets measured gets improved from a marketing lead generation point of view. So we will always have, and I'll show you a template here. So this is our kind of sort of client group. We will always be saying to them, how are you tracking stuff? Are you tracking how many leads you're getting? How are you tracking how many people are attending your event or subscribing to your newsletter? Are you tracking how many sales meetings you're getting booked? Are you tracking how many people show up? Are you tracking how many are closed? Are you giving targets in blue? We call this the RTM dashboard. What does that mean? Reporting, target, and management. Why is this important? Well, by reporting in purple, you're reporting the data, and we do it weekly, right? So you're reporting the data each week. By in blue, putting target, then you're saying this happening in my world. And then by producing this each week, even if it's just you on your own, having a conversation with yourself, you are managing the reporting against the targets. And so therefore you go, well, how did I achieve last week? And what's my game plan for this week? And how can I get more? This is the game that you set, right? And you can break this down to be even more clever. So we do a paid ads versus organic leads. And this is our leads tab, which feeds the top level tab, which is this leads number, right? We then talk about our weekly moments. So this event, $1 Million Sprint, this event, right? So we look at how many people sign up on LinkedIn, how many people sign up on Zoom. That then tells us how many people sign up plus our attendees. So then that becomes this data in the top level dashboard. So you can see how we can set this up differently. If you have different appointment setters that are working with you and you're getting people setting appointments proactively, then you can track them. So I'm just giving an example here of, we've got Flora and Richard. My team is bigger than this now, but this is the template that we give out to clients. And so we can see that's happening. And then how many people are closing, we look at how many sales are closed based upon those bookings. And we break that down. So it's not just, we say to our client group, have a meeting every Tuesday on this, get someone else, as you build your team. So when we do this for clients, the VA that we give to clients will produce this for them. So then someone else is responsible for putting those numbers in. They present it to you on a Tuesday, and then you can see how everybody, including yourself, performed against those targets, work out a plan for next week and go again. So when I think about something like a newsletter strategy, Nick, and what should you do with those newsletters, I would be more saying, let's start putting the data into something, looking therefore how we're transitioning, and then that in itself will help you to really problem solve those minutiae between subscribers to sales meeting signups, and actually go, oh, okay, well, I got 3 sales meeting signups and I got 100 newsletter subscribers this week. Maybe that's my ratio. Maybe I'm 100 to 3 ratio. So now what do I need to do? I need to work really hard to get 100 people to subscribe to my newsletter each week. Now the game's afoot. We've set it and we are off to be able to deliver it. So that's how you can really kind of improve it.
Yeah, that was really useful because I think I'm chasing the wrong metric, which is the number of people subscribed versus my number of connections. You made a really good point at the beginning, which was when you look at your subscribers, do you want to connect with them? Do you want to let them read at their leisure, but don't need to connect because they're not your target audience? That's the brilliant message I've taken from that as well.
Exactly, because your newsletter will get pushed to them anyway. So you will deliver on the promise. They will get their newsletter, but your posts that you put out, your videos, your live streams, anything else, your event invites will only go to connections to start off with, and then will be distributed to second and third degree connections who look like the people who engaged on the content. And therefore the viral effect goes in the right way. The snowball rolls down the right hill. Love it. Okay, good. Guys, I'm sticking around, right? We've got some time.
Richard,
here.
can I just ask a question on that question?
You can do. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
So I'm sticking around for another 10 minutes to answer further questions. I hope that's really helped. We are at 9:45, so if anybody is shooting off, wonderful to see you, but we're on a roll here and we've got a few more questions in here. So please do remember, before you go, do take advantage of that free LinkedIn profile audit. Thank you to the people already booked into it. You can see there it's on the link here. Tasneem, quickly on this one, and then we'll go to John.
Just so when you one posts the newsletter into the newsletter box, sort of on LinkedIn, do you also post it on LinkedIn for more subscribers?
So whenever you post a newsletter, it has to be done as a post. So you create a newsletter, you put it onto your LinkedIn newsletter, and then LinkedIn will ask you to create a separate post. My suggestion would be chuck it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give you a very quick promotional synopsis of the newsletter you created.
We've got that. It was done, but I'm just wondering how it then does it automatically go into the newsletter subscribe list?
Yes, so the newsletter subscribers will get it via email from LinkedIn. So this is why I love newsletters, because LinkedIn itself emails them via their email address. So most of us have LinkedIn in a safe sender list on our inboxes. And so therefore LinkedIn is more likely to be able to distribute that email to you, and you'll be able to receive it because it will get through your spam filters. That's beautiful because it means your LinkedIn newsletter is going to get actually read and into their inboxes. And that's good. Now, if people also have an email subscriber list that they might also have a separate one, what we recommend is use that email subscriber list to also distribute a newsletter, but it doesn't have to be the same one each week. You could have a LinkedIn newsletter and you can have your own email newsletter. And if someone has been running an email newsletter for a long time, we say, great, carry on running your email newsletter, but use some of the older episodes or older newsletters and repurpose them into LinkedIn newsletters. So you're then doing dual content, 2 different newsletters basically a week, one on LinkedIn and one off.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, good stuff. John, over to you, mate.
Definitely underutilizing the newsletters at the minute. But this is not newsletter based or anything, but about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I did a 10-week video challenge on LinkedIn. So I posted a video a day or video a week, pardon me, and they got really good engagement and really enjoyed doing them. Got loads of feedback from connections and made new connections and everything from it. But I'm going to do another one because I found it that good. What advice do you have around it? What's the current does LinkedIn like videos? And I did a post with a video the other week and it should have went that way and it kind of fared middle of the road. And I thought maybe it was the video that hampered it a wee bit, but what advice do you have for me on that front?
I think I see a lot of people do these like go live every day for X amount of days. And for long challenges, what we see is there's a kind of a tailing off. It works really well because LinkedIn's like, great, we've got someone who's now actually started to post every day and reward you with reach to start off with, because it wants to get you hooked on the platform. But then if you then, and also your audience will find it, oh, okay, that's great. John's posting some new stuff and they'll watch it. Then it's like the billboard effect, isn't it? So a new billboard goes up on your commute to work. You go past it the first time, oh, new billboard. Second time you actually read what's on there. Third time is cool. Fourth time you forget it, and then bam, it's just part of the kind of landscape, right? So blend it, mix it, right? So if you like video, great, post a video natively. So you actually upload it natively and post it. That's one way of doing it. Second time, maybe do a live. So do a LinkedIn live. So still video, but that live is slightly different, and it does that little notification to your followers to say, hey, John's gone live. So that's a different blend. Then maybe try and do an audio event. So you can actually just do audio only as an event, and that's great. It's a little bit like Clubhouse where people can join it. That's a native feature on LinkedIn that you can play with. And then maybe just do a little bit of just a selfie post, get a bit of a blended. So if you're going to do like a 20-week challenge, actually, I would say do a post a day for 20 days, but go like video, selfie, live, audio, video, selfie, live, audio, video, selfie, live, and get into that rhythm. And then you're going to be having a nice blended route to be able to put your content out.
Cool. Thank you. I was thinking about just changing up the setting and changing where I am, maybe to create enough variation, but it's still doing the same thing. So I like that idea of,
even if you really want to do the video, like do a one on, one off, one on, one off, but in the off one, do a different type of post. So something along those lines. Even just share a meme, like, do you know what I mean? Like share a funny, like it's just something just to keep it kind of a bit mixed media. So do a poll. A poll's great to be able to get engagement up. So
we've been nailing the polls on our company page recently, which has been great. But yeah, sorry. Thank you.
That's cool. No worries. Maria.
Hi there.
Hey.
Thank you for yet another super insightful session. My question is very simple. Sometimes I like to combine some posts where I'm quite new to LinkedIn, as we've spoken before. But I like to combine some posts with my own image of myself, which I know that it gets a lot of likes and comments and etc. And I like to have some other images that, they may provoke some thinking. I have found some of those images in, say, Facebook or maybe some on Google. Sorry, you just move. Where do I stand with putting those images? So the last thing I want is to put an image and then be having someone complaining or suing or whatever it is that I am using an image that I shouldn't be using. So I'll tell you where it comes from that. I saw another LinkedIn guy who I think he makes some images. I haven't used any of them, and they're fantastic, but they are his own images. So I reached out and said, can I use any of your images? Have I got your permission? And he sent me a form with all his copyrights and this, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, that put me off completely.
Yeah.
So
just use AI. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, take your own photos. There's two things, right? One is images. You can just take a photo and it's great. Like, honestly, they will work so well. Your photo will just be brilliant, right? Any sort of photo, because we want to see what's going on in your world. So that's probably the primary place. If you want to do something a little bit more snazzy, then obviously you can use something like ChatGPT and they can create a great photo for you. Or one of my little favorites, which cost my favorite number, which is free, so you can play with this, is Ideogram. This you can just kind of copy and paste. It will create a load of these AIE bits. I won't do a demo because I want to go on to other questions, but you basically just describe what you want to see in here, and it will generate a video for a video. It will generate an image for you that you can use, and it can work incredibly well. So I'm just trying to find the chat comment to be able to post this in. Where's my chat thing in here? Can't find it now. Oh, here we go. So perfect. So here's the link to it, Ideogram, and have a little play in there. That can be really useful, right? So
fantastic. And do people get sued for using images or not?
Yeah, you can
Students?
do. Yeah, if you like,
Okay.
there's loads. Like back in web development day, I had a few nasty kind of letters from the big stock imagery places and stuff, and you've had to pay some money in the past for accidentally putting a stock image that wasn't ours on somewhere. So now in the world of AI, and good iPhones, just go down that road. Keep it nice and easy. It's better anyway.
Yeah, thank you. Fantastic.
No worries. Sandra, over to you. And then we'll
Richard,
try and get Lee for the last question. Go for it, Sandra.
sorry, hi, good morning. So I've got my camera off just because
Hi.
I'm not feeling very well. I'm definitely the right target audience for your group. Anyone who hasn't done the LinkedIn audit, do it. I've now managed to, or I'm useless at marketing myself, therapeutic coach, managed to get myself organized to come along to this breakfast even when I'm not very well. The next goal I want is to do my newsletter. Can I get back to that through your school link, Richard?
Yeah, 100%. Like there's in the school group, in the LinkedIn for Breakfast group, which by the way, normally I share the mission and stuff behind this, but we are making this, that's the client group. We're making LinkedIn for Breakfast, the best place on the planet to learn LinkedIn for free. That's the idea. And in here is a classroom, and we're constantly updating it with other little bits of content and challenges and all the rest of it. But there is a training in here which is around LinkedIn newsletters, and you can go in and grab this LinkedIn newsletters. And our mission is to kind of keep on making this as good as we can in terms of free content and free training, so you can go and create newsletters. So jump into there, have a little play. Or the other bit, guys, and actually if you want to do me a favor, because I'm just growing this at the moment and it's very, very small, but I have a YouTube channel, and I do post stuff that we don't post in the school group in here. So let me just show you my channel and just see if you wanted to. There you go. So it's at Richard Woods. As I say, it's not got many subscribers, but we are looking at doing a little bit of growth on this. So if you wanted to subscribe to my YouTube channel, we do videos on here that are small little, sometimes not LinkedIn related videos. So for example, close more deals by color coding your sales calendar is the latest one we put together. And so that's a little video in there that could be interesting. And there's lots of other ones like that. There's loads of stuff in here that could help. So subscribe to that.
That's great, Richard. Thank you very much.
No worries, Sandra. And last but not least, Lee, how are you, mate? Oh, you're muted.
You would have thought we'd got used to that for COVID, wouldn't you?
You would.
I don't often get to these, so this is great because I'm usually doing the school run, but it's half term, so great stuff. I'm just starting out as a consultant and just getting all my ideas down on paper and things like that, which is a task in itself. So newsletters and things, I'm just about to start doing that now. What's the frequency you recommend that we should do that to keep the engagement up? I know you said earlier about changing the type of post that you put out. So I just wanted to know in terms of a newsletter, because that's a little bit more long-winded and takes a little bit more time to do. What would you suggest the frequency is for that?
Weekly, if you can do it, or fortnightly. Certainly not any more than that, I would say. Like a nice weekly newsletter. And what we tend to say to people is actually think about your week and actually how you're putting your content around it, right? So we often talk about, well, let's on Monday do something like what we call an engagement creator. So on Monday, do something like a poll to get people talking about your subject and make that poll related to the newsletter topic. So lots of engagement happening on a Monday. Then maybe drop your newsletter on a Wednesday. And so when you drop that newsletter on a Wednesday, you can then message and DM all these people who vote on the poll and say, hey, we've got actually a piece of content on that. Here's the link to it. And by the way, do you want to subscribe? Because there'll be more like it, right? And so that can work. Now on Tuesday, if you're feeling really, interactive, you could do like a 1-minute video to say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be dropping this cool newsletter on X, Y, and Z. If you haven't subscribed yet, do, because you'll miss it if you don't. And now I've just done a 1-minute short video. So we've got a poll, we've got a video, we've got a newsletter. Then Thursday and Friday, well, you could do a little think about the other stuff you want to do. So Thursday, you could just do like a throwback Thursday to a piece of content that's related to the newsletter topic. And then Friday, you can do share a win, where you can share a win of how you actually, succeeded with a client related to the topic of the newsletter. So then this whole week has a theme that's all related to the newsletter, right? And then each day has a theme, and it has a blended media. So social proof, throwback, so it's repurpose, newsletter, video, poll, bada bing.
Brilliant, thanks.
That's it. Perfect one to finish on, because we are right on time and I've got to dive straight back into another call right now. So I hope that's helped, guys. Remember, please do, and we'll send the link round with anything to link up with you guys. Please do jump on those profile audits. Happy to help in the group as well. If you've got further questions, just post them. So until next week, big love, take care. See you on the flip side. Bye, gang. Bye-bye.